Hello, everyone. Artistry and Finesse with you. Saturday night, the Penguins fall to the Bruins 3-0 in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Finesse, I don't know what I should be feeling right now, but I'm not particularly worried. Am I wrong to feel this way?
I think it's a little bit naive to say not worried, but I guess you're throwing particularly in there as kind of a hedge. So there's definitely some cause for concern. There's cause for optimism, which we'll get to. But what is it that makes you not concerned?
Well, first of all, let's back up for a second. I'm not making a statement of facts. I'm not saying I shouldn't be worried. I'm just telling you I'm not worried. It's purely an emotional state. I don't know what's going to happen in this series. The Bruins are a very good team. Tuukka Rask played out of his mind tonight. But I'll tell you, I feel like this 8-day layoff hurts a team like the Penguins a lot more than it hurts a team like the Bruins. Penguins depend a lot more on timing, on shooting accuracy, passing accuracy, which was not on tonight. You could see the rust on them. And I just feel like if they were clicking the way they were against Ottawa in that first period, this game goes in a completely different direction.
Right. It was I give the lion's share of credit to this game to Rask because he kept them in the game early. The Pens hit a couple posts early. He made a lot of huge saves early. And the thing you can say about the Bruins, like the biggest compliment to them is that they'll just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And
right.
The Penguins, it's like you notice so many more ups and downs in the Penguins game. It's like they're playing really well or they're playing terribly or they're not emotionally invested or they're going crazy and fighting everybody. And it's like, so if you don't capitalize on your chances against Boston, they're just going to keep coming over and over and over and over again. And so you have to score on them early to get them out of their game. Otherwise, they're just going to keep doing the same thing and eventually they're going to score because they're very good.
That's right. Rask was great. And the only concern that I have is this tendency to melt down emotionally with the Penguins just doesn't go away. It's always looming, the possibility that they're just going to lose their shit. And no one is immune. Sid, Malkin, Letang are best players this happens to. I don't like to see that. I don't think it's in any way helpful. I love the passion. But there's just no reason for Gino to be throwing down at the end of the second period in a one-goal game.
No, I hated it. I hated the Malkin fight. Whatever happened between the second and third period, at least calmed the Penguins down from getting out of control. Right. But it's just like from a practical perspective, Malkin can't go to the box for 5 minutes. It's so stupid.
He was great tonight. He was fantastic in the first two periods.
He was unbelievable. And then he goes to the box for 5 minutes, and it's just like the Penguins, I guess the thing I worry about most with the Penguins is that it seems like after the Penguins won the Cup in 2009, they sort of switched from embracing the fact that it's hard to win the Cup to now that they won it, they were like, exhaled, and it's like now it's going to be a lot easier to do it again. And I don't get the sense that they embrace the difficulty of the playoffs and how hard it is going to be to repeat, especially when you're the major favorite. So, like when
you think they're entitled. You think they're entitled.
I think there's a little bit of entitlement, but I think that they lose their patience and they lose their discipline when things don't come easily for them. And what they need to realize, and where you hope that Bilesman makes a difference, and he didn't make a difference last year, is that if they just keep doing the right things, they will eventually win because they're so good. It's when they start getting frustrated that it's not as easy as they think it's going to be. Like they need to realize it's going to be it's very difficult. It's going to be hard. It's not getting any easier. And I feel like they don't embrace that. They don't want it. And so when it goes bad, or when it gets hard, they get soft. They melt down.
Well, I think there's something to that, but my prevailing view of this game is that it was like a perfect storm that led to this Boston victory. The Penguins were snake bit. They hit posts. They missed a lot of nets in those first couple of periods, and Rask played out of his mind. All those things happened. The call on Cook was horrendous. That's a minor. It was a joke that he was kicked out of that game. And if he's suspended, it's an abomination. And you really cannot underestimate how important that was, because it sucked like a good, I would say more than even the 5-minute kill. It sucked a lot of time out of that game that the Penguins could have been spending on the offense. And also it deprived us of Cook, who really is the lifeblood of that third line. And without him, we really lost a lot of effectiveness, I thought.
You said a lot there. I want to unpack it because
Unpack it.
I want to go back to what you said about the Pens being snake bit, and
I've got all night. Unpack it.
And when I say that I worry that the Penguins don't understand or don't embrace how difficult it's going to be, I'm not saying the Pens didn't play a great game. The first two periods, the Penguins were really, really good, especially the first period. The Penguins should have been winning after the first period. And they definitely were snake bitten, and I really think the reason that I'm not that worried either is because if the Penguins can play like they did in the first period, then they will score. Rask isn't going to shut them down all the time. It's when he is shutting them down, and when they're not scoring, that you get the third period that we saw, which sucked. And that's what I worry about. Like if they need to keep the first period and play it 3 times, they would win that game.
Yeah, it was a bit of an unprofessional effort, I thought, after the third goal was scored. The win was sucked out of them.
But even to give up the third goal, I thought was a really
that was
bad
poor,
goal.
really poor. Do you agree with me though that in a traditional circumstance, when you go down in that way 3-0 in the third period, that the backup goalie likely comes into the game? And do you agree with me that probably didn't happen here because Bilesman just doesn't want to go there, doesn't want to open that can of worms?
No, I don't think 3. I've always thought 4 was like the barometer for switching goalies.
Well, I don't know that the number is as important as the way that it happens. I mean, I just thought that they were falling apart. And I think as a coach that if you're sensing that, that's normally the time you say, I'm gonna pull out all the stops here and make a change. I would have made the change if it were not such an unusual circumstance with Fleury.
Right. You can't do that with Fleury because it creates a whole distraction and everything. I mean, maybe if it gets to 4, you would bring Fleury. But I don't blame this on Vokun at all. I really don't.
No, I don't either. But, there were still 15 minutes left in the game when we went down 3-0. And if you're looking for a spark, as coaches often do, you make that change. But you can't do it here because it would just be – it's too much drama.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I thought the way the Penguins looked after it went 3-0, they basically decided that we were going to lose the game. And I actually was encouraged that they didn't really dirty it up or muck it up. Live to fight another day. It's okay. You lose the game. Come back better in game 2.
Do you think that, assuming that Cook is not suspended, and he may be, but let's just assume he's not.
Well, wait, before you get to that, because I was going to talk about the hit itself. I totally agree. It was ridiculous, 5-minute major call. I don't think it had the impact on the game that you do. I kind of think it was like a non. I don't think the game results is different if that's a 2-minute penalty. But it was ridiculous. I mean, it's a stupid call. It's just not a 5-minute major. It's not. I'm sorry. It's hockey. It's the playoffs. You hit guys from behind, and they're gonna get banged up from it. But it's a tough sport. Sorry. It's a 2-minute penalty. Bruins get a 2-minute power play. Live on. It's fine. 5-minute major that's activist refereeing. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, McQuaid looked over his shoulder and saw Cook coming. You can't say the same about the Neil Marchand hit that happened later.
Right. The only thing that bothers me about reffing, I don't get that pissed off about missed slashes or trips and stuff. It's activist reffing when they just do stuff that's really bizarre. If there's a scrum and they take both guys when it's clearly only one, or they only take one when it's both guys. I don't like when they're I don't like referee game management type of stuff. I hate that. the game management stuff. I want them to just
it's
call a
awful.
penalty or not call a penalty. And, like, to call the 5 minutes on Cooks just smelled of, like, this is Matt Cook. We have to give him 5 minutes. It was really not a 5-minute penalty.
It's nauseating. I don't want to talk about the referees anymore. What was going on with Sid and Chara? What do you make of that? I mean, it seemed like a little bit more than, two captains posturing. There seemed to be some real venom there.
Yeah, I think Sid was just frustrated. I don't think it was his best game outside of the frustration that he showed. I don't think it was his best game just from a performance perspective. He actually seemed a little bit hesitant, I thought, without the face mask. And we've gone down this road 1,000 times where we point at Sid and we say, did you think Sid looked a little hesitant tonight? And did you see this from Sid? And then the next game he comes back and scores 5 points. So I think Chara was a little bit frustrating to him. But there were also weird drop passes where he'd drop it to Letang but put it on Letang's backhand instead of his forehand. He never does stuff like that.
Rust.
There was rust. There was definite rust. And then it kind of manifested itself in frustration. So,
is there anything about the Bruins that surprised you? I mean, I think we knew going in. We talked about this in the preview podcast. David Krejci's a really, really good player. Was there anybody that surprised you for the Bruins, or are they who we thought they were?
No, they didn't surprise me much at all. I think they play a style where you don't. They don't do a lot of flashy stuff. They don't do a lot of individual effort type of plays. I thought Jágr was pretty good overall.
Yeah, he had that one shift where he just controlled the puck, like he did in his heyday. They had the puck for about a minute and a half. He was making plays. He looked good.
Yeah. Otherwise, though, I mean, I'm impressed with the Bruins because, we know they're a good team. I don't think the Bruins surprised me in wow, this team's better than I thought they were kind of way.
I thought Tuukka Rask was a little bit surprising.
Tuukka Rask was good. He was good. I also don't like some of the shots we took. I thought we missed the net on a ton of opportunities. Really, especially in the first period, there were a lot of really good chances where we just missed the net.
Yeah. So here's what I was going to ask you. What I was going to ask you earlier. Do you make any lineup changes? Mark Eaton struggled again, and I know that there's a school of thought that he really stabilizes Letang. I'm not sure that happened tonight.
Letang was pinching every single shift.
Yeah,
I've never seen him pinch that much ever.
Do you take Eaton out? Do you make any other changes?
No, I don't take Eaton out. I really don't.
Stay the course.
Yeah, I stay the course. I think you stay the course. I'll tell you though, and I know people say we talk about it too much, but if there's anybody in the offense that you're going to scratch, I don't know how it's not Brandon Sutter. The guy doesn't do anything offensively.
I don't know how you can defend
nothing
the guy.
Offensively.
I don't know how you can defend him. He can't take a pass if his life depends on it.
No, and if he's hurt, then fine, but he shouldn't be playing because he can't play. It's just
I know.
So this is what I've been saying to people that I've been talking about the series with past few days. And I guess here's kind of where my mind has changed on the series. Before this game, I said if the Penguins get any offensive contributions from their third or fourth line, the Penguins will win. Now I think the Penguins have to get offensive contributions from their third and fourth line, or the Penguins won't win. And I'm a little bit discouraged by I guess the Cook being out makes a big difference, but I was discouraged by Kennedy. He does that stupid hesitation move that doesn't really ever work.
Right.
Jokinen was definitely rusty. Morrow and Sutter didn't do much. We need to win. We need to get more from the third and fourth line. They're going to put every egg that they have in shutting down Crosby's line and Malkin's line, and they might be able to do it because they have really good defensive players. But that leaves the third and fourth line in good matchups on paper for the Penguins, and they have to win those matchups. And tonight they didn't even come close.
I'm watching on NBC some of the highlights from tonight. Our power play, we had some gaping nets to look at on that power play. I just can't see this continuing. I really can't. Even if they're able to shut down Crosby and Malkin at even strength, we're going to get some power play goals against this goaltender. I just can't see this continuing.
Yeah. I'm going to go to Twitter now. So Randy, our boy Randy, Randy's maybe definitely top 3 fan of the site, don't you think, Randy?
Oh, easily.
He says not calling for Fleury yet, but does it seem like Vokoun is trending slowly downward?
I don't know. I don't think that this is the game that I make a judgment about. I think he kept us right in there. The first goal was not his fault. I don't know what Paul Martin was doing. It was just in no man's land. Should have just gotten out of the way. It was a slap shot from right inside the blue line. If Martin doesn't go down and deflect that, it's an easy save. And that goal aside, Vokoun is going toe-to-toe with Rask until the third. The Krejci goal was flukish. Letang was trying to hit the puck out of midair with a stick.
Right, it's just what is he doing?
Just not on Vokoun. I just don't. I don't put this on him. I don't think you even give it a second thought. He's back in net for Monday night.
Right, and if the Pens break through on Rask, then in the first period it's a different game. And so Rask outplayed Vokoun. I think it's fair to say that in this game, but that doesn't mean Vokoun played poorly. Rask had a great game. He had a really good game. Yeah,
Vokoun is not a lightning quick side to side goaltender like Fleury is. That third goal, maybe Fleury is one of the only goalies in the league, along with John Quick, that has a chance to stop that shot on the third goal. But that's not on Vokoun. It was terrible defense on that play.
Yeah. Don is listening. Don says Sutter is terrible, but who do you put in his place? Do you roll 7 D-men? What do you say?
You got Joe Vitale sitting on the bench. You've got Bo Bennett. There are options there.
Wait a second. That's who you mentioned, those two, and you don't even mention...
You're not getting me to mention Tanner Glass.
No. Who do you love the most out of anybody on the Penguins?
Well, I do love him, but I know better. He's not in the running, but we're silly deep at forward. There's no reason you need to play 7 defensemen.
We're talking about Dustin Jeffrey, of course, probably your favorite player in all of the entire NHL.
He really lived up to the hype the last time he saw action. That's all I can tell you.
No, he really shouldn't. He shouldn't get dressed. But I would say, you probably go. If you had to scratch Sutter, and I don't know, I'm conflicted. Yeah, I'm not saying yes or no, but he just doesn't do anything. So
don't tell me he's good defensively. I'm not buying that. He's just a bad player. He's very noticeable for being bad. If he wasn't
especially offensively, even say he is good defensively. Just because you're good defensively doesn't mean you have to forego every single piece of offense you could possibly bring to the table. Patrice Bergeron's good defensively. He's also good offensively. You don't have to just be good defensively.
Right. And the identity of that third line is one that tilts the ice, not one that sits in the defensive zone and gets hit with pucks. Right. It's not that's great if you're thwarting the other team, but if you're just playing in your zone, I'm not that interested. You need to have some attributes aside from that.
We got a tough question from Alicia. Says, could you maybe address why Crosby is being a terrible captain? You answer that while I tweet out the podcast link again.
Ooh, that's really. I don't know if I agree with the premise of that question, Alicia. That's rough. I do agree though that as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, he was not in good form tonight. And I would expect that to change. I really would. I think he was frustrated. He was not effective at all. I think he's been through this before in 08 and 09 against Zetterberg, who was very, very tough for him to play against in a 7-game series. And so he knows how to deal with this, and he's just got to be better than he was tonight. I agree.
Yeah, I just, that stuff at the end of the second period, I would have liked to see a better response to start the third. It didn't seem to do anything positive or really negative in that way. It was just it kind of To me, the biggest negative was Malkin in the box for 5 minutes. Or like one of the best players in the league, or the best player in this game, I thought for sure, in the box for 5 minutes.
Crazy short fuse for Malkin. I expect a lot more in game 2 from Crosby, Malkin, and Dupuis as a unit. Even when they're up against Chara, they should be giving him fits. They should be buzzing around, cycling in the offensive zone, and we didn't see enough of that tonight.
Right, you're talking. You said Crosby, Malkin, Dupuis, Crosby, Kunitz, Dupuis.
Crosby, Kunitz, Dupuis.
Yeah, Hands.
You know what I mean.
I thought Hands was a little unhandsy tonight in a lot of ways.
Hands is a little off. Hands is hurt. It's not even might be hurt. Hands is hurt. We don't know what's wrong with Hands, but we're counting on Hands. We need him to. We need to come up large.
Yeah. Apparently, Sid is like giving the refereeing a little bit of a jobbing.
Come on, Sid.
Game. Yeah, like the Cook call was bad. It was real bad, but I really don't think it cost the Penguins the game.
Bilesman is saying the last 35 minutes of the game we got away from our game plan. Thanks, Dan.
That's a lot of the game.
Yeah.
We
watched, we saw.
Right. It's one thing to say, like, yeah, we had a mental slip up for 5 minutes, but 35 minutes of the game? I mean, what are you talking about? That's like 60% of the game. All
I can tell you is I'm glad this all happened in game 1. This happens in game 3, 4, or 5. It's a lot more worrisome. I still think we're the better team. And again, if the first period we bury one of those glorious chances, we're having a whole different conversation right now.
Right. Are you optimistic about game 2? You're going to game 2.
Yeah, I am. I think we're going to win, and I think it's going to be a long series. These playoff series are crazy. I mean, this is a good team in Boston, but if the Penguins buried some pucks in this game early, this could have been a short series. I'm telling you, it could have been, because we're better than this team. And if we break this goalie, it's going in the other direction in a hurry.
Yeah, I don't think it's like that. I think that it changes the game. It makes the games different. It makes Boston different if you can get a lead on them. When they're playing 0-0, they're doing what they want to do, you know? They want to they're going to frustrate you. They're going to get under your skin. They won't be able to do stuff like that if you're winning 2-0. It's not going to it's so easy to ignore some dude that's in your face when you're winning 2-0 than when you're losing 1-0. You know, it doesn't. It's not as annoying. Like Brad Marchand's not as annoying. Patrice Bergeron is not annoying when you're beating Boston. They're annoying when you're tied or losing. Yeah,
but don't forget, we played them a few times this year, and I remember, I think it might have been the first time we played them. They were winning 1-0 all game long, really frustrating. We were playing well, and Kunitz scored with like 6 minutes left, and we ended up winning the game.
Yeah, that's when Sutter had those 2 goals.
Yeah, that's right. This game was really no different. But, you know, you're right that getting the first goal makes all the difference against Boston. We should get the first goal against this team. We're better than they are. We're quicker than they are. We're all over them in the first period. I think game 2 is going to be very, very different. Still very optimistic. And I think we should end on that note, quite frankly.
The first period I was very optimistic. I guess the only hesitation I have, and I do think the Penguins are going to win game 2. It's just, I just wonder mentally, are the Penguins able to recapture that magic sort of from the first period? And it's, you know, it sucks that we were losing after the first period, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, they better be. I mean, this is the story of this team.
Stay the course. Stay the course.
Right. Bottle that emotion, capture it, use it. Don't abuse it. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll be back Monday night. Until next time.